Welcome back to Aging is for Everyone. We are talking about East Side neighborhoods in Buffalo today, and we're talking about a very special church on the East Side, Corpus Christi Church. And here are our guests, Henry Swiatek and Jim Seraph, and welcome.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
You guys are members of the Friends of Corpus Christi Church, which it just sounds like you have a wonderful parish and you're doing a lot of great things. Tell me a little bit about the history of the parish and maybe about the restoration efforts that it has undergone.
Well, let me just start there. In 2003, we were faced with the possibility of being closed, and that was a rallying cry for many of us to say, well, can we save our church? And with a lot of hard work and good people stepping forward, that occurred. But then the next question was, now that we saved it, what do we do with it? And that began a series of meetings and discussions as to what do we want this church to be in the future. And we did a variety of things. One of the things that we did was we got on the Register of National Historic Sites, which is something that's not done very often by churches, but we recognize the beauty of the church and its potential, and it's part of the legacy and the history of the East Side, the immigrant experience of the East Side, and we did that. And that led to a further effort to then look at historic preservation projects, and the one we want to spend a little time on this morning has to do with the Disputa, which is a large dome painting in the front of our church. And that is part of this historic preservation effort, and it's a very significant effort. It has a lot of significance for us and for the entire community.
It's just amazing when you look at some of the churches in Buffalo, the beauty that is there, and some of it is crumbling and decaying. So it sounds like you guys have a big job ahead of you. Tell me a little bit about the art restoration project.
Well, the thing is that it's like with the other restoration issues, like recently with the Darnell Martin House, for instance, the Frank Lloyd Wrights, is that when you have something of real quality that's been built, many people don't realize that when they build churches, they build them for a millennium, which would be for 1,000 years. So when the architect and the contractors and those people get together, they start planning the materials and architecture of these buildings. They're planning for centuries. So consequently, when you have something of real consequence of very good material, it's very easy then for it to bounce back.
Right,
right. So that's the case in many of these instances, and I'm fortunate enough to do this as a living. So and I love churches, and my family also.
Right.
This painting we're talking about, if you look at the front of the church, it basically has like a large domed area above the altar. It's quite large across, and our ancestors, the ones who built the church back in 1909, as time went by, they wanted to put something very special above the altar, and they settled on this particular painting, which is called the Disputa, or the Dispute. And come to find out that the painting itself is considered a unique and very important piece in the Catholic experience in the history of the church. It has a very great historic significance on its own merits, but secondly, it also is rarely seen or painted in churches. It seems that it's something that church elders, or those who are actually designing churches or deciding what to put in them, that's something you don't see very often. So, for example, the art conservator who has come to work with us, Mr. Roman Cuyava, we were lucky enough to get, and Henry was the guy who made it happen. He met Roman in Yonkers, New York. Tell me about Roman a little bit.
Well, it was purely providential, actually. Myself and my son were working in Yonkers, New York, at St. Casimir's Church there. And the pastor there introduced us to this gentleman who happened to have incredible credentials. He had been trained in the Krakow Art Institute in Poland, which would be like us saying if you had a child that's a musician going to the Juilliard. Okay, so I mean, it precludes the fact that he has talent. Well, in any event, and then when I saw his resume, he had done work for the Department of the Interior, and also of these beautiful residences in Greenwich, Connecticut, like the owner of Johnson & Johnson, for instance, the interior of that home, and which are really would rival your Italian villas.
And the White House, too.
And the White House, yeah, the Blue Room.
One of the art conservators who was asked to participate in the restoration of the Blue Room of the White House, so he's very familiar with the White House. So that's the caliber of person we brought to the east side of Buffalo.
So is he currently, he's currently working now?
Yes, he is. He and his brother Gregor, who's assisting him. But Roman also has been working in this country. He had started out doing restoration work in Europe, and that's what really brought us to him, or gravitating to him, is the fact that he has experience in conserving art of this stature. And the painting that Jim's describing is a reproduction of Raphael's painting, which is in the Vatican offices. It's not in the Sistine Chapel, but in the Vatican offices. And to give you an idea, John Paul II called it the second most greatest piece of religious art ever created. So it's a compendium, actually, of our entire faith. There's roughly 50 or 60 figures from the Bible in there. So when you look at the painting, you're looking at the entire enclosure of what we believe in. So it's an amazing piece. I compare it to War and Peace, you know, in terms of content, you know, of what it actually
So
contains.
it's very important that this be preserved,
Very
and
much
it is
so.
being preserved.
It very well may be the largest reproduction of a work by Raphael in the world, because the original piece is roughly 1/3 the size of the painting that appears in our church. And our founder, Father Fujinsky, had spent the first 16 years of his priesthood in Rome. So we can only assume he passed away a long time ago, so we can't ask him. I would love to have interviewed him of why this painting and so forth. But we can only conclude that being in Rome, being in front of these great pieces of art, that he was so affected that when he came to Buffalo, and I should say that he actually gave up the generalship of the entire Franciscan order in Rome to come to Buffalo to start this parish. And we're very proud of our history. And I think the unique thing about Corpus Christi, it was never meant to be purely a parochial parish, that they had a more universal appeal. And that's why we welcome people from all backgrounds to come. If you enjoy beauty, please come and see what we have.
And I have seen, I know there's some pictures on your website of the art restoration, and it is a beautiful, and of your church, and it is a beautiful church.
Yeah, Mr. Cuyaba has mentioned that, and he's been around the world. So I mean, he's seen these things, and he said that it would rival any of the European cathedrals. And he was sincere in that respect.
That's wonderful.
Part of this campaign is we kicked off a campaign to raise $382,000. That's what it's going to take to make this painting be restored to its original grandeur and related electrical and structural support activity that's there. So here we are making another bold statement. We think we can raise at least $382,000 on the east side of Buffalo. I know there's perceptions of the east side that are not always the best, but we've always seen the glass as half full in our work and never as half empty. And we happen to have a real jewel, which is both a national and, to me, an international treasure. It's right here, a block from the Broadway Market. They were just here a little while ago. I mean, we're a block from the market, so when you come shopping to the market at Easter time, walk over a block, and our church will be open all day. We'll have tours available during Holy Week. We want people to see it. You'll see the scaffolding that goes up about 40 feet, and you'll see the artist. He may be up there painting. He usually paints between about 9 a.m. and about 8 p.m. every day. He loves to talk about what he does, and of course we do too.
That's great.
And it's a jewel. It's another jewel on the east side.
And I hope folks will go and take a look at it, and we've got your information that'll be up on the screen.
That's wonderful.
We'll send them over.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you for being with us. It's great talking to you.
Same.
We will see you all next month for more Aging is for Everyone.